Saturday. Travis, let's start. I know wrote an article recently about the quarterback room, about Gerry Bohanon's upside, and really not even that, but how much he could even improve even more as the alpha dog. There is obviously competition with what they had at the end of last year, but you are sold that it's Gerry's room and Gerry's room only, correct?
I mean, more or less, I think that's fair to say. And I think that what's been difficult about the conversation this offseason is that people think that if you're, pro Gerry or pro Shapen, it means you're anti the other guy.
Yeah.
And I think it's very clear that, Blake Shapen's going to be a really, really good college quarterback. And it very well might be this fall. I just think that Gerry showed us so much last year and has given us really no reason to suspect that he's a guy that's going to do anything but just kind of continue to improve. I mean, Smokey, y'all might remember from when he initially signed. I mean, he was doing the deal where he was like driving 30 minutes every day before school at like 5 a.m. to go work out. Even when Charlie Brewer was the starter, Matt Rule was openly and unprompted saying that Gerry was the hardest working player on the team. And so I just think going into year 2 with Grimes and given everything Gerry showed us in his first year, there's no reason to suspect that Gary's going to do anything but just continue to improve and continue to get better.
And Travis, where would you like to see those improvements? I mean, obviously he was effective running the ball, and we don't really know when maybe his health got dinged a little bit, but, the deep ball, I guess, could be a little bit more consistent. What sort of areas do you see as if he makes those jumps, then he makes a big jump as a player?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a couple things. Overall, it's just really getting more comfortable in the system, feeling more like a freewheeling player. I think what Gary's really elite at, honestly, and why he was such a good player as a first-year starter was that he very clearly was able to take the coaching that Jeff Grimes and Sean Bell were giving him on the offensive side, and he just executed the game plan. Whatever they told him to do, he would do. But even though he's such a good runner on called running plays, I think one of his weaknesses is that he actually tries to stick in the pocket for too long. After a couple of years of Charlie Brewer where he was constantly escaping, I kind of prefer the quarterback to try and stick in the pocket too long. But I think that's one area where as he gets more comfortable, he'll get a better feel for when to escape and make things happen as opposed to sticking back in the pocket. And the other aspect of that is just, as he develops a more comfortable grasp in the offense, I think that'll allow them to be a little bit more flexible in their play calling as far as opening up the passing game a little bit more and not having to stick to, I think last year if they were getting 3rd and 7, how many different play calls did they have they feel comfortable with, right? I think they want to expand on that this year. That way defenses can't hone in on whatever they've learned and seen previously.
Will their receivers allow them to make the quarterback comfortable? Because we're talking about less than 10 receptions coming back.
Well, when you put it that way, the answer is no. They will not. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's a real big thing. I mean, receiver is all about comfort level. It's all about practice reps. It's all about developing that rapport with the quarterback. And that's why I think as important as it is to kind of let this competition breed and let the competition create whoever the best receiver in the room is. I think that by fall camp, when you get to a week or two before the season, they really need to settle on who their top 4 or 5 guys are. That way the quarterbacks can really develop as much of a rapport as possible with those guys. Because, we saw it last year with Gerry and Taekwon. So many of those passes to Taekwon where he was making great catches, tough catches over the middle, were all about the kind of small little intricacies where you could tell that Gerry had a feel for where Taekwon was going to be. So, yeah, that's a big concern. And I just hope that, over the summer they spent a lot of time practicing because that's where all those reps matter.
So, last year you